You know what? There's a new U.S. citizen today. There's a new one. There's one more
Dwyer is an American.
Congrats to you, Dom Dwyer.
Rights of every man. Mr. Sidney LaRue is now an American.
Yeah, he is.
Welcome aboard.
Awesome. She is a Canadian American, and he is now an English American. They both have the hyphens. Their son is just
they can both play for the United States and raise an American.
Their son, Cassius, is a American-born Canadian English American. This is awesome, though.
He will have 14 passports.
Yes, he could play for pretty much anyone. Dwyer's been here since college, which was like the late part of the last decade, and then he got his green card in 2012, and so 5 years later, he was eligible to do this, and he did, and he waved a little flag today, and now he's an American, and now he is instantly available to play for the United States of America. I'm thinking he's probably not going to play in the March qualifiers, although there's a spot now.
Though there may be spots now.
Sadly. We could talk about Dwyer a bit more in a minute, but the big news today was not good news for the U.S. Fabian Johnson is hurt. Looked like a hamstring thing. They said it was a muscle thing, so it's probably a hamstring thing. This close to the 24th and the 28th, I don't think he'll be playing with us, but we'll see. I mean, stranger things have happened, and maybe he will. Maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe it just takes, a day or two to recover. But hamstring things, if it is, tend to linger a little bit more than that. So this is not the news that you wanted. Suddenly it throws some things into disarray, and it takes, by any measure, one of our two best players probably out of it. We both called him our best player recently, so this is not good.
Yeah, I'd call him our current best player. And yeah, most likely I think we have to expect that he's not going to play. It throws a wrench into a lot of things. All the people who were still thinking that he should be the starter at left back, I think that that ship is sailing. But even just putting him at left midfield. Now, the one thing it does do, I think, is probably give a boost to the chance of Darlington Nagbe playing. But yeah, it does suddenly open up. Is there another spot now on the roster, and who's getting called up? Does that mean somebody like Dom Dwyer gets a shot? I don't think we're going to suddenly pull in another forward. But what about Paul Arriola? That would be my first pick. We were talking about it just a second ago. Like you said, he's nearby. It's a short flight. Doesn't have to do much to get there. And
which means you can push things with Fabian as long as you need to, and you've got somebody in the same time.
And it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me if he actually flew to be with the team. If for no other reason to be evaluated. I know DeAndre's flown in so the U.S. national team doctors can evaluate his injury, even though he's not going to be able to play. They're saying he could be 4 to 5 weeks out or something like that. Newcastle's still saying only 2. So I don't know about that injury. Either way, out of our it is certainly not a development you wanted to see. That one of our top players suddenly out, and it kind of raises the specter of this is how easily we go from having a team that we're all excited about to a team that, oh shit, what are we going to do next week? I still think Honduras at home we should be able to beat with any team we put out. We have Panama away is going to be a much stiffer challenge, and it's one that we want to hit, but we're going to have to play better than we're going to have to play well to try and win away, and that's going to require probably our best team, or everyone's playing their best.
Yeah, it's not what you want to see. Hopefully we'll find out some good news here in the days to come. But if he is out. My vote's for Paul Arriola the way he's playing, and like we talked about, it's an easy trip. You're not hauling somebody over from Europe. Although I would suspect it being a break, some of these guys do, if they do get a few days off from their club team, they do probably come over and see, family and that sort of thing. So they may be closer than they would be if they were all the way over in Europe. Another big thing today, we talked about why we thought Nick Rimando was the third keeper, because you're a couple of tweaks away from having a guy, if it wasn't Rimando, having a guy with little experience out there. And we got a little bit closer to having Nick Rimando out there today. Tim Howard is still presumably the starter unless something goes wrong this weekend, but Brad Guzan is not going to be with the team for personal reasons, is what was said. David Bingham from the Earthquakes was called up to take his place. David's good, competent keeper, but I don't want to see him pressed into service for these two games. So we've got the pecking order would then be probably Tim Howard, Nick Rimando, and David Bingham. Not the best news for Brad, but this is obviously, considering Brad probably wasn't going to play, this is not the worst thing to have happen either. So
Brad Guzman, as they say on Deadspin, if you actually read that shit site these days. And by the way, if you do, stop. That site sucks and has for a few years, and whatever. I want them out of business. I'm glad Hulk Hogan won that deal and drove them most of the way out of business. I want them the rest of the way out.
The sad part is it used to be a tremendous site, but
yeah, once upon a time. But even the comments weren't funny today. And I don't know, uninformed, uninformative, poorly written. Couldn't even get a name right. Actually, I think the story itself may have had the name right. I think it was all the commenters who had the name wrong. But
the thing is, though, everybody calls him Guzman for some reason. Yeah. I think it's because it always auto-corrects to Guzman.
Well, and the first response to one of the comments was, unless you did this on a phone, it just auto-corrected, you're an idiot. That was the one intelligent comment. I was like, yeah, no, you're right on. Yeah, it is possible. But anyway, yeah, it sucks that he's not going to be there. Hopefully, whatever the situation is turns out well, or everything works out okay. But yeah, I think realistically, for what it means to the team, we're probably looking at Guzan as the starter again come the summer, or working his way back to being a starter again come the summer. So to me, for the time being, it's not as big a deal. It's more that, wow, we're only 24 hours into a list of 24, and we're already down 2, probably. Down 1 for sure, probably down 2. Not exactly what you want to see.
Lopez. Sorry to break the news.
Fabian pulled out in like the 16th minute today in his game against Schalke. So we'll see what happens. There's nobody. I haven't seen anything that says what the extent of the injury is, but if it is a hamstring, I mean,
all they said was muscle.
Alexis Sanchez played through it, but
he's a freak, though. All they said was muscle, and people were speculating hamstring. So, I mean, he may be fine. But it doesn't look good right now.
The problem is just this close to an international break. Any injury probably is going to get you out a week, and this close to suddenly playing for a national team, the club's probably going to pressure him not to play. The club's going to pressure the Bruce and USSF to not play him. Who knows? Who knows what really happens there? But it'll certainly be interesting tomorrow to see what the final verdict is. But you have to think a muscle injury of any kind, a week from a game, you're probably not going to play.
God, we are 8 days away from the match.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah,
it felt like when Jurgen was fired, these matches seemed like they were so far in the future. Like, we wanted to make the change so that Bruce could have all that time, but these matches just seem so far away, and just like that, they're here. So things happen quickly. Yeah, Elmer, we talked about Bedoya a bit yesterday. Chris and I both kind of have the same view of him. Good work rate, good defensively. You don't get a lot of offense out of him. And if the right side fullback is going to be somebody inexperienced or playing out of position, if they put somebody like Cameron there, yeah, he's out there for his defense and his experience. He doesn't bring a lot, of excitement to you on the offensive side of things, but he's experienced, so he'll probably
and
start.
I think you may need it here when, I mean, the real problem is we're seeing this kind of domino effect of so many players now probably playing out of a natural position or out of what we've come to expect as their best position for the U.S. This is just another blow to that. So it's not. It's never good news when you hear like your best player's just been hurt, but in any regard. But we're already looking at no Yedlin, no Chandler, no Lehigh, as a third guy who could probably play it right back. Now we got to slot somebody in. Then you get Orozco, or you move Cameron over, but then you got to find somebody else to play in the middle. And while we do have other center backs, it messes up that pairing that has worked so well from Cameron and Brooks. So what happens there? Fabian, a lot of people still want it as the left fullback. We are, I think, fully on board with Villafana, but does Bruce want to go with the tried and true old hand in Beasley? And what does that mean? The guy's been retired from the national team like 3 or 4 times already now.
Man Beasley.
That old man Beasley.
DMB. I was trying to think about this though. With the addition of Dax McCarty, if he plays, this would be the first time that a Chicago Fire player will have played in a real, actual match since when? And it might have been DeMarcus Beasley at the beginning of his career.
It's got to be Beasley, Chuck Blackmouth, or Chris Armas.
Right, one of those guys.
What about John something Stone? What was his last name? And the dude with the long hair too, who was like a center midfielder who was awesome for a while and then kind of went nowhere. And I can't think of his name now. Oh God, Kalen Carr. Blah.
Well, Brandon Vincent was in Camp Cupcake last year, but
that's true. That's true.
So yeah, I was trying to figure that out today. Dom Dwyer, as we talked about at the beginning of the show, no one was on yet, but Dom Dwyer is now a United States citizen, and he is immediately eligible to play for the U.S.
to represent his new country, or not quite new, but fully new, officially new.
He worked his way into it. I mean, you've got an American
Mr. Sidney LaRue.
So, I mean, if we saw a forward go down, I don't think Bruce would call him in this quickly, but I would think that we'll see him this summer in some capacity. Although the list of guys that we keep saying might get a shot at the Gold Cup is growing so long that some of them are not.
We're going to need 3 Gold Cups.
Yeah, we're not fielding a B team in the Gold Cup. It's like an A- probably. So
yeah, I mean, there will be some overlap certainly, because after all, it's not like, I mean, we have like the Mexico qualifier, but that's still a month apart.
Yeah.
So there's still enough time there that most of those guys could return, and certainly I think Bruce has made it clear that the Gold Cup and winning it is a priority, and you have to expect Mexico should field a weaker team because they'll be in the Confederations Cup, and the two are close enough that they're not going to overlap the teams there, at least not very much. So it would seem to me it's our tournament to lose. We need to take it seriously. We need to represent. We need to kind of get some, call it swagger, call it confidence, call it a fan boost, whatever. We need to get something back that has a positive momentum to it.
Elmer says Dwyer is a slower, clumsier Bobby Wood. I like the comparison there. I give him a little more credit than that. Obviously, Bobby Wood is better, but yeah,
Yeah, I mean, he's
they're
certainly
similar
not going to
guys.
jump in as like a starter right now. Yeah, I think across the board, any of the guys who, because one of the things that, you know, the Don Dwyer thing got me thinking about other guys who we could call in, you know, who maybe should get a shot. And I don't think there are any of them who are truly better than like maybe the starting option we already have, but they could deepen the pool. And in that regard, I do think Dom Dwyer is a good guy to get in. I don't think he's going to start. I mean, you're right. Bobby Wood is better. Josie Altidore is better. Clint Dempsey is better. Jordan Morris is different, but probably better. You know, beyond that, I don't know. But when you're getting that deep, how often do we see the fifth place guy actually take the field? So I don't know. But you know, thinking about kind of other potential guys to call in, Kenny Saif, is that it? Saif?
Yeah. The Israeli
the guy from Ghent. I mean, he is a starting midfielder in the Champions League. He's voiced a desire to play for the U.S. Why not give him a shot? Now, granted, even like I've heard, you know, U.S. scouts supposedly have watched him and said he's not better than anybody we already have. That said, we don't always get the best performance out of the guys we have right now. You know, another guy who could just by coincidence have a great performance one day might be enough. And you know, why not add more challenge in there? I know Taylor Twellman was talking about bringing him in because the point was just increase the player pool. You know, it makes everyone have to work harder. So hopefully, yeah, you get better results from it.
Yeah, and that's kind of
Bjorn Johnson.
Bring him in. You know, why not? What do we?
Yeah.
How does it affect us? If I don't care if some other nation isn't going to get these players, let's bring them in. Let's get them cap tied, and then if we can't use them, if it's a mixed Discarud situation, then it is. But you know, let's widen and broaden the player pool as much as we can. It doesn't. There's no reason not to. Just like Wilford Brimley with the diabetes medication, no reason not to.
I don't know if I have diabetes. Doctor just tell me I look like someone who would. That is one of the funniest SNL skits of all time. It totally made me lose my place. Even like some of the guys that I've been mentioning about Gold Cup guys, I don't know that they're necessarily guys who play, but they're guys who get brought in. Like say we bring in 30 guys or something before that tournament as just like a camp beforehand. What's the harm in bringing in, you know, especially guys who, like, you know, in the rest of the world are in their off season. Bring them in and try them out.
Exactly.
See what the hell happens. Bjorn Johnson, the striker at Hearts. You know, again, to
Perry
me,
Kitchen, for that matter.
Perry Kitchen. Perry Kitchen, I think we'll probably see. But yeah, like at least we've seen him before. But yeah, like Bjorn Johnson. To me, he's sort of like Dom Dwyer, where it's like I don't see that he's actually better than anybody we have. But
God, though, I mean, we haven't really seen him that much. It's not like the Scottish League.
I've watched some videos of him on YouTube.
That's what I've done. Yeah, that's the extent of my knowledge on him. So, you know, I don't know it. But why not? Why not at least take a look at him? Why not bring him in, even if you don't put him on the official roster? Like you said, especially over the summer when the European guys are off, let's do it. Let's bring somebody in like that.
And of course, I think we'll bring up Cameron Carter-Vickers as somebody we need to cap tie. If I could talk. There's too many sounds all together there. Like Cameron Carter-Vickers cap tie. We need to get him tied down as an official U.S. player, but why not?
I hope he goes somewhere else, and not just because we love to hate Spurs, but
somewhere where he'll play and
he needs to be playing,
get a chance.
He needs.
I mean, he is reaching an age where you don't want to just sit in the 18 week after week. You want to actually be on the field, and I know they don't really want to let him go because he is close to making the field.
He makes the 18 a lot.
Yeah, if he's not going to actually make the field, he needs somewhere, you know, loan him out to another Premier League team or something, Send him to the championship. Send him over to somewhere on the continent and get him some experience. Send him to Germany. Let him.
Elmer's asking about Edgar Castillo.
I don't think he's
off
out.
my radar
Bruce. Yeah, Bruce has brought him up. We did mention him in our depth chart 2 weeks ago, I think was when we did defenders. Bruce has brought his name up. I think Castillo was Klinsmann's Bornstein. And speaking of Bornstein, I think he's back in the mix too.
Yeah.
Because, again, Bruce is mentioning him. I was a little surprised. I was a little afraid Bornstein was going to get called up to this camp because he's just another left back to try. I mean, he's been playing well in both cases. They're playing well in Liga MX, but when did they ever play well for the U.S.?
Although
so
it's been a long time since we've seen Bornstein, so
yeah.
It
might
be
kind of like an old man now,
especially with the lack of depth we have. Why not? And I will say it'll be interesting.
Time heals all wounds.
It'll be interesting to see what Bruce does if he does need to replace Fabian on the roster. If he goes with a like for like as much as we could, and if he goes with a midfielder or if he goes with a defensive player, might be kind of telling too as to what he saw Fabian playing. Although
I'd like to see him go with a midfielder and bring in Paul Arriola and then let
that's
Pulisic play on the left or something. But whatever. Yeah, Castillo might work against Honduras. I think Bornstein could work against Honduras. I think ultimately that's probably why Villafane is here, is he can work against Honduras. Beasley can probably work against Honduras. I don't know about Panama because they do tend to have fast attacking forwards. And playing away in CONCACAF is always such a crapshoot. You never know what the refereeing's going to be like, what the field's going to be like, what anything in the entire situation is going to be like. So it's hard to say that that you can just throw somebody out there. Now, on the one hand, Bornstein has experience, but it's been a long time. Castillo has experience, but it was hit or miss. So I don't know. Bornstein always did get torn apart in a U.S. uniform, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm definitely curious, afraid. I don't know which one to say about the outcome for Fabian tomorrow and what that means for presumably a replacement.